Welcome to OAA Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy Taramina.
Welcome to OAA Now. I'm Sammy Taramina, blogger of the Dragon's Den, blogger inside the OAA, one of the hosts between Taramina and O1 TV. I'd like to thank our partners at Oxford Community Television and not looking at the podcast. You know, I got a little bit of a cold here, but I'm going to be okay. My hanky here, but we got a couple interesting topics to talk about today. Of course, football not involved in the Catholic League. There has been some questions also in track and field. There's been some questions at World Lake Central about their how their throwing program is ran, and also we're gonna look at some top baseball, softball, along with track and field previews of each game heading into the week around the OAA. Now, if we're going to go with football first here, of course, you know, it's a very interesting and sensitive topic. When you look at football, we're going to go into the league called the Catholic League. Of course, the Catholic League and the OAA, they will play each other sometimes, considering some of the OAA matches. But you look at, it was an interesting article read by Nick McKay of the Detroit Free Press. Of course, Nick McKay is the high school coordinator at the Free Press. He wrote about Detroit Loyola. They're a team, of course, they're a Division 7 team who's won a numerous titles, you know, in Division 7. And they were going to play two of the big boys in the Catholic League. They play week 1 against Orchard Lake St. Mary's at Wayne State. But the main issue with them was the game week 6. I mean, that they were supposed to play two teams from the upper division, and the other team ended up being Warren DSL. Warren DSL was a team that went to playoffs last year in Division 2, and they were solid. I mean, and you look at them now, and in the schedule, when the schedule was released, they said, well, you're going to have to play them. I mean, and Detroit Loyola said, wait a minute here. We got a bad matchup here. I mean, we got about 173 kids as a school, whereas you got a school that has about 785 kids in Warren DSL. You know what I mean? So, you know, we're not going to play you guys. So, which opened up a possible suggestion, you know what I mean? Which opened up a possible question is, you know, we don't want to play you guys because you're too big. I mean, and then eventually a couple of days later, you know, even their coaching administration, their staff, you know, their administration supported this, you know, supported their coach's claim. We don't want to play you guys. So they went to the Catholic League offices, you know, Catholic League offices talked to them about it. You know, and the game is now back on. Now, the question lingers here now is, will this affect teams in the OAA? I don't necessarily think so, you know, but it also opens up maybe the question of, let's say a team like Hazel Park will play a team like Lake Orion or Clarkston in football. You know, that's going to open up disasters. There's going to be a disaster waiting to happen when you look at it from that situation. Because, you know, Lake Orion and Clarkston, they're both big schools. Troy's a big school. Oxford's a big school. I mean, and Hazel Park's not a really big school. Like teams like Ferndale, Hazel Park, they're not big schools at all. And that opens up the question, do you think if there was a problem in the OAA, when it comes to scheduling, there's a couple mismatches, you know, this year that I think are going to be absolute shames, like Royal Oak and Farmington, week 1. I mean, it's a bad matchup, nonetheless, because, but I think when you look at it here, I think teams have to play enrollment teams, you know what I mean, to make sure everybody has a competitive balance, and especially in a sport like football. You know, I mean, you got a lot of questions that linger here. When you look at the OA, I don't think there's going to be a problem with it. You know what I mean? But it doesn't help you based on playoff points. Now, a team like Detroit Loyola, you know what I mean, and play Warren DSL, that could be a game where that could affect playoff points, you know, so And I can understand the Detroit Loyola football coach's concern. I do, but you're in a league where it's a tougher division. You know, you've had a lot of success the last You've had a lot of good kids come out of Detroit Loyola. Of course, Malik McDonald, one of them. He played at Detroit Loyola until he went to Southfield to play for his senior year. And then you got you got some very good talent over there at Detroit Loyola. Of course, this is a team that won a state title last year, going up, and they deserve to play the big boys. You know, they deserve to play the big boys of the Catholic League. Orchard Lake St. Mary's gonna be solid. You got Warren DSL, who I think is going to be solid as well this year. But I think, you know, for Detroit Loyola, if you want to beat the big schools, you got to just go and play them. And, you know, I just don't think, you know, I think it's one of the cowardly things, you know what I mean, to think about when you have to play in a type of league. Now, my question is, and I asked this earlier, will the OAA go this route? I don't necessarily think so because of divisions, because you got the but also when you look at the OA Blue, you know, they play a non-conference week 9 to close out the year. I think personally it should be like a little championship game in the Blue. You know what I mean? I really think that because you got 8 teams in that division, you know, you can have 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4, 5 versus 6, 7 versus 8. I think that makes a lot of sense. But you're gonna have teams that play their non-league games. You know, like Rose playing Waterford Mott. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not a bad matchup, to say the least. But, you know, I still think if you want to decide an overall champion, you got to play. Basically, I think you got to have a championship game. You know? I mean, like, I know in basketball, you got 4 divisions. You know what I mean? But the problem is, if you go to a 4 division of 6, you know, you're going to be looking for maybe at least 2-3 games during the year, and I don't think athletic directors would like that very well. And you know, I think it would be interesting if they go into a 4-6, you know, sort of like they do in basketball. But I think it's in better shape that some of that the teams are going to be a very interesting dynamic when it comes to that situation right there. I think it would be interesting if they did it in football. But I just think that the 3-8s right now maybe is the best thing to go right now for the teams, especially when you look at the games and the schedule, especially with how they're impacting the playoff points and everything. I think it makes sense, to be honest. And I know these divisions this year are based on enrollments, you know, but however, there's been a lot of schools that are going up recently. I know Adams has been going up recently. Oxford's expected to skyrocket because of that Chinese program that they have up there. I think when you look at the situation there, I just think open enrollment, you know what I mean, is starting to take effect, and it's starting to bring an impact on them. And now that's my next question, and it's in the track and field part. You know, over at the Oxford Invitational on Saturday, Wall Lake Central ended up winning the track and field invitational over both Oxford and Orion. Oxford taking second place, Orion taking third, but you know, those two teams play each other Wednesday at Lake Orion. So, but the question with me is with Wall Lake Central's program. This is a program that's a year-round program, and this is a team that, you know, I don't think they openly recruit, but you know, they've had some issues with the football team a couple times concerning the year-round program that they run over there. I'm not fond of it because of the fact that I think that kids need to play other sports like football, like powerlifting or wrestling, you know what I mean, to get themselves better and ready to go for the spring. I don't think they do that over there at Walled Lake Central. I really don't. You know, and then an interesting comment from Walled Lake Central's head coach. He said their kids are homegrown talent, you know. I really don't buy that very well. I just don't buy it because you know, because Walled Lake School's open enrollment, you can just really see what the program is, you know what I mean? And heck, even Oxford's 2 best throwers, you know, even go over to Walled Lake Central to do some training, you know what I mean? And to me, I don't understand that at all. But I just think personally, when you look at the situation over there at Wall Lake Central, I question, you know what I mean, their recruiting meant. I question how these homegrown kids are, and if they're really homegrown kids. So, I question it a lot. I know that and Wall Lake Central this year is pretty solid. I mean, they're not bad. You know what I mean? Their boys team's not bad. I mean, their girls is all right too. Their girls are not bad. Of course, I know Andy Tiberian, the head coach over there. He's not bad. He's not a bad coach. You know what I mean? But I do question the throwing program over at Wall Lake Central a lot over there. So, like I said, I mean, but it also opens up the possibility of that question. Does, you know what I mean? Do you need, I mean, look at Oak Park. You know what I mean? Oak Park, of course, we all know about the Grosse Pointe South transfer, coming in for senior year. You know what I mean? I just think personally, when you look at it here, that it's college related, I think. You know what I mean? All these kids wanting to come together to play for a team, to be well coached, to learn under a new system. I just don't think that I just think sometimes that and I wrote an interesting quote on my Facebook, and I said, teams are made, you can have a star. You know what I mean? You can have a star, but you have great role players. You got to have great role players. That's called great chemistry. And I just don't think that, if you can develop the chemistry and the bond that you can have over at teams, with teams, I mean, I think a team like Lake Orion, you know what I mean? Lake Orion boys, they're well bonded. They have great chemistry. They're balanced. They want to win for Coach Stan Ford. You know what I mean? They want to win. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. And then you look at I just think personally is that you can have one star out of the bunch, but you got to have a great team surrounding him. You can't have all these star players coming out and coming together to align themselves. It ruins chemistry. It bothers a lot of things. And I just think personally, that if you have star players that are not that are coming together for just 1 or 2 years for colleges, I don't think colleges are making a big mistake too. I mean, by going over there, I just think personally that to look at I think they got to spread their influence around. I don't think they do a very good job at doing that based on college recruiting. I just think you got to spread your whole talent throughout the whole state, because there is people around the whole state that you can get that are very, very good, that are good, that are underrated blue chippers. You know what I mean? They're very underrated. You cannot go for the big home run hitter in football. Basically, a lot of people go after the Detroit kids because they're a hotbed. You know what I mean? They're a hotbed place, to get blue chipper talent. You know what I mean? To get them out. I mean, to get them play elsewhere. There's a lot of other talent in the state, and I just think personally that that these kids are going to places where, I want to do well. You know what I mean? But it takes time to realize. Sorry about that. It takes time to realize that talent pool is not, you're going to be good in talent, you know what I mean? But you got to have the chemistry, you got to have the bonds, you got to have the friendships to build on it. Sorry about that again. But you got to have that if you want to be successful in not only sports, but also in life, and also academically. You know what I mean? We don't know if some of these, I think most of these kids, I think the MHA is being a lot loose with this new transfer rule. I really do. Then what was the point of this rule? Talking about it. What was the point of this rule? Bringing it in. If you're still going to have people doing it, look at the situation going on Detroit Martin Luther King with all those players coming down there, coming down there to play for just 1 year. I mean, that to me, if that's not academically related, and Detroit Public Schools, I'll be honest with you, Troy Public Schools is not. I mean, like they're struggling. Academically right now, they are struggling, and and for them to come over there and decide to play for that one school, I mean, like that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? You're taking away other teams. You're taking away from the other teams around the state. I think the MHA really needs to be more stricter, be more cracked down, and I just think personally they really need to crack down on what's going on. You know what I mean? I would, if it was me personally, if I was Jack Roberts, I'd say that Jack Roberts is like, this is what I said. It's time to stop making a profit and start focusing on the real issues that are going on throughout the MHA right now. That's what I say to Jack Roberts. I know you're a good man, but show some backbone. That's what I would say to Jack Roberts. I mean, like, that's what I would say. Okay, now when we come back, we're going to talk about recapping. Of course, we got some big track invitationals, big track meets coming up, and we're going to preview the track invites at Sterling Heights and also at Saline this weekend. So, and also we're going to talk baseball, softball. So stay tuned here on OAA Now. Welcome back to OAA Now. I'm Sammy, community blogger of the Dragon's Den, blogger of Inside the OAA, one of the hosts of Between Terminos on ONTV. I'd like to welcome our friends from Oxford Community Television, who is here as we speak. We've got some breaking news coming out of boys basketball. Of course, the divisions are now finalized. There was a huge debate between Troy Athens and West Bloomfield deciding what team would be in what division. It ended up being a solution where Troy Athens is going to be now in the OA Red, whereas West Bloomfield is going to be in the OA White. It's a very interesting thing here when I look at with both teams because West Bloomfield is going to be very, very good this year. Of course, led by Tristan Jackson. Of course, he's going to be a solid player, as we know. And then Troy Athens, they're going to be in a tougher division because you're in a division with Clarkson, North Farmington, Rochester Adams, Southfield. With those four teams are not going to be an easy cup. Not going to be easy at all for a team like Troy Athens. You just lost a lot of your seniors from a year ago. You're replacing a lot of seniors from a team that looked really, really experienced. They looked like, I just think personally, when you look at a team like Troy Athens, I think they're in some trouble heading into the Red Division. Now, when I look at West Bloomfield, they're going to benefit basically from being in the white because you got to deal with you're still gonna have Avondale. Avondale's going to be solid again, even though they lose Chris Barton. They're all around small forward. Let's don't ask Troy Athens for that. You know what I mean? What he did to them, shooting that buzzer beater shot to beat them. But I just think personally, I know West Bloomfield wanted to go the OA Red. They wanted to go up. So badly, maybe it could have been, but I just think, but I know that Troy Athletic Director Bob Dowd wanted to be in the red for boys basketball, and got his wish. Now they're in the red. They're playing the top division. It's going to be a tough division, I think, though, for Troy Athens. It wouldn't surprise me they're in the cellar in that division. And the white, West Bloomfield's up. And then, of course, in the blue, you got Lake Orion and Rochester down in that division as well. In the blue. So I think it'd be interesting. I think the divisions in boys basketball in the winter is going to be really, really strong. I expect it to be strong heading into the year. All four divisions. And then in the girls basketball front, there's been no changes in the divisions. Of course, they remain the same. Like I said, they're right now playing their AU ball competition right now. So keep an eye on that. And we'll keep an eye on that and see how what players are going to be hugely impacted. Going to be impact players, especially heading into the 2015-2016 season, heading into that one. So we're gonna switch our gears from basketball a little bit. We're gonna go talk about we got baseball, softball, of course. Baseball, some of the top, of course. You had Lake Orion Clarkson. That's a huge series right there. The Dragons ended up winning on Monday 2-3 from 2 games over Clarkson at home, 3-1 and 3-2 respectively. Clarkson this year, for some reason, has been struggling hitting the ball, which is a little bit odd because considering that they use their I would say personally that they had a really nice draw last year in getting to the state quarterfinals. Of course, West Bloomfield knocked out Brian Brother Rice last year. Of course, Brian Brother Rice is a very good player, Nick Plummer. Of course, he might be going pro in the June draft. So that could be very interesting right there into that perspective there. But West Bloomfield, they're still a solid team. But the problem with West Bloomfield is they're still in the same division with Brian Brother Rice. I expect the Lakers to continue to play really well. Their pitching staff is strong. They're solid in a lot of things right now. You know what I mean? Especially in baseball. When you look at Lake Orion, this is a team that's hard to figure out. Here's a team that has they don't have the dominant pitcher, the dominant strikeout pitcher that they used to have when they had pitchers, when they had some great pitchers like Josh Deeg, Nick Deeg, Brad Schenzer, Josh Bays, from a year ago. From years back where they could just go in and just strike them out. They don't have that this year. They got 2 solid players, 2 solid pitchers. One of them's going to Central Michigan next year. And the other one, you know what I mean? No, in 2 years, sorry. The other one's a very good senior. They're just art mechanic pitchers. And then, of course, you got Miles Hardy, of course, he can hit. Lake Orion's been a team that, they've benefited from playing well at home. You know what I mean? They've done very well at home. Early in there, they were on the road a lot. It's just, I think being at home, has a comfortable angle to part of it, to winning games because you know the field, you know the surroundings, you know where to attack the gaps. I think being at home is very important for this Dragon team right now to be where they're at. And right now, they're in a really good spot. I still think the game that they need to win is going to be the Rochester games because, I think Rochester, they're much improved. They're playing very well right now. But I'm curious to see how Rochester would do against a team like a Lake Orion or a team like a Clarkston. You know what I mean? Especially in those 2 type of games, especially going up against established powers. You know what I mean? Clarkson, of course, last year going to the state quarterfinals in baseball, and also Lake Orion, of course, a team that's been a perennial power in baseball for a long while, going on right now, of course. But also an interesting draw. The baseball districts came out over at Lake Orion, and I read an article by my Prep Zones coordinator, high school coordinator Keith Dunlap. Of course, Keith Dunlap's been on the show on OAA Now for a couple times, especially for football. He said Clarkson got a great draw. They did get a great draw. They draw Waterford Mott. Waterford Mott in baseball is not very good this year. They're just not solid. Lake Orion's got to play in the playing game against Rochester Adams. That's a tough matchup for the Dragons, I think, personally. That's a really, really tough matchup. Because Adams is solid. Lake Orion's been inconsistent. They've been very inconsistent. I think it's a dangerous game for the Dragons against the Highlanders because the Highlanders are solid. I mean, they're going to give I think they're going to give Orion a lot of problems. I think they're going to give them some trouble in that matchup. And then of course you got the other side of that draw. The winner of Lake Orion and Adams will play Oxford, whereas Clarkson already plays on that Saturday. So it would not surprise me that it could be a Lake Orion Clarkson final, but Adams will have a strong say about it, because they do play Lake Orion in that baseball district, pre-district, on that Wednesday. So, like I said, it's not going to be an easy district right there, but I just think Lake Orion's got a history of not making it past the pre-district round. They've had some problems there. Last year, of course, we all know about the upset when they lost to Waterford Kettering, 1-0. That was a pitcher's duel. But we'll just see what happens with Lake Orion. The rest of the league, I think West Bloomfield's got a solid chance to get by Bremen Brother Rice in that district. And then you got others. I think North Farmington's going to be. Well, I think North Farmington will be there as well. I just think that at the end of the day, I just think that the OAA could be well represented in the baseball playoffs. I still think the three top, and also Stony Creek. Let's not forget Stony Creek. I think Stony Creek's got a good shot at their district, depending if they can get by Romeo, who I think is a solid team in that. Also, Utica Eisenhower is also solid as well. So I think the OAA in Rochester as well. So I think the OAA will be well represented in the baseball districts very, very well. Excuse me, just it's cold. The next district we're gonna talk is softball. Of course, probably one of the biggest games in the state is happening today. Is happening as we speak in our neck of the neighborhood. Of course, that is Lake Orion and Clarkston. Of course, the Dragons and Wolves are two softball perennial powers, and you look at they're playing at Clarkston, a doubleheader over at Clarkston. So it's a huge game, for the winner of this. And the question will be, can Lake Orion get to Madeline Midday and Candace Kitchen on the road? They can get to her at home, for sure, because they've done it before. But the question is, can they get to Madeline Midday and Candace Kitchen? I mean, Kitchen's had a really nice... I mean, Bolton's had a nice year. Clarkson's senior lane team, junior heavy as well. They got a catcher, Olivia Newman, I think that's her name. She's going to Michigan. I mean, I just don't understand why, sometimes you have juniors that commit to big-time schools. Michigan's a solid softball program, So it's going to be, I think it's a big, big game today. No, sorry, take it back. On Tuesday. It'll be a big, big game on Tuesday for the Dragons and Wolves, especially when you look at what's on the line. The red title will be on the line, I think, in this game. I think the OAA. I just think the entire OAA is on the line today. I think whoever wins this game could probably say, I'm the best team in the OAA. But it doesn't mean that you're the best team in the OAA. What matters is you got districts. You know what I mean? The district round is one of the biggest rounds. And you look at what teams in that district, and they're both in the same district at Lake Orion, and the softball draw came out. You know what I mean? It's virtually the same matchups with the exception of Clarkson playing Waterford Mott, I think, in the pre-district, and got Lake Orion. Oh, it's like Lake Orion plays Adams, and that winner gets Oxford, and then you got Clarkson, Waterford Mott. So I think Waterford Mott and Clarkson, that's going to be a heck of a game. I think it's going to be. Waterford Mott and softball, they could be, besides Lakeland, in that league. I think Mott's a serious contender in softball to maybe not only contend for a Kensington title, but also maybe they could give Clarkson problems. I mean, right now, this Clarkson team's undefeated right now. But I don't know the competition they played. Troy's playing a murder's row of a schedule right now. A team like Troy, they played a murder's row schedule. And here's Clarkson, they're a good team. Yeah, they're very good. But I just don't think, I think it's going to be a clash of two powers going against each other. It would not surprise me. It's a pitcher's duel, or maybe a 5-4 game. You know what I mean? Especially with how both these teams play. Both got good hitters. Both teams have solid defense. Both teams got good pitchers. I think it's an even steel matchup when you look at the game in the game. I think the key member of this game, is I think the key player of this game for both teams is what players show up in this game. What players are going to show up? Clarkson's got the home field advantage, yes. But Lake Orion has proven they can go and win on the road before. I think they have won at Clarkston. Clarkston has proven they can win at Lake Orion. They've done that. So it's an even Steven matchup. When you look at how these two teams, I think when you look at it here, Clarkson's more, the question will be today is whose balance shows up most. And whose ever balance shows up most will win these two games over at Clarkson, on Tuesday. I think that's going to be the difference. It's a huge game because the reason why I talk about it is because, one, it's an impact game where it has state implications, major state implications. And I think it's going to be whoever wins that game, those two games, it'll affect the state rankings for sure. Definitely affect them. Of course, the rest of the league, when you look at I still think when you look at the white, Seaholm and Oxford, I think Oxford's got a great chance of winning the white. I really do. Especially with what Jessie Granger's done over there. She's done a magnificent job over there. Of course, Sherilyn Bandis has done a nice job, at the leadoff spot. Guy Donaldson, you can put her around. She's their cleanup girl. And they got Lauren Donaldson, of course, catching. I think when you look at it here, it wouldn't surprise me. Oxford could be a dangerous team. They could be. I know they're a little inexperienced, with two pitcher catcher area, starting two freshmen. Of course, one of them's Lauren Donaldson, the catcher. But these freshmen, they're solid. They are solid. And I think, it wouldn't surprise me if Oxford becomes a factor in the state playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me. I just don't know the matchup. You know what I mean? I know when Lake Orion played Adams, they knocked Adams' starting pitcher around a couple times. So it was shocking to say the least. You know what I mean? That that this Lake Orion offense is deadly. But if you want to beat a team like Lake Orion, you got to pitch well and you got to out hit them. And same thing with Clarkson. If you want to beat Clarkson, you got to out pitch them, you got to out hit them. That's how you beat those two type of teams. Around the league, of course, we'll see what happens with the rest of the league. I'm looking at teams down south, of course. Hazel Park. Oak Park winning a couple games. Putting up 20s. You know what I mean. The question is going to be for these type of teams is, do they have to go up against bigger schools? Do they have enough, to go up against teams with bigger schools, with bigger reputations, to say, because there's gonna be teams that are gonna have to play powerhouse programs, especially with the North Farmington, they're a solid team themselves in their own right, and they're in the district farmington with Mercy. Mercy's solid this year. Now, do I think Mercy's to the extent? I understand that Mercy is one of those teams that can give a huge shade of Lake Orion and Clarkson, but I just think right now, the top two teams in the state right now, I think in the entire Oakland County, are Lake Orion and Clarkson. I really do. I think Mercy will give a battle, for sure. I think Mercy will give a big, huge battle. But I think at the end of the day, I think Lake Orion and Clarkson are going to be right there in the thick of it, heading into the year. my final thoughts about softball is when you look at it here, when they're getting league play underway, I mean, like, I still think the key factor is into this game. I think the key factor is, can these teams, want to get themselves ready for the playoffs coming up in June? Can they get ready for a type of environment that they're going to handle? And that's the question. That's going to be the huge question. We'll see what happens heading into that question. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about track field previews. Of course, interesting tournaments coming up at Saline and also at Sterling Heights. We're going to talk about them here on OAA Now. Welcome back to OAA Now. I'm Sammy, blogger of the Dragon's Den, blogger of Inside the OAA, and one of the hosts of Between Terminus on ONTB. Welcome to our friends from Oxford Community Television watching the podcast here. We're going to talk more track. When you look at the situation going on, got two big tournaments coming up this weekend, of course. Let's recap the invites. Of course, I mentioned earlier, Wall Lake Central won the Oxford Invitational. And the boys, Bloomfield Hills winning the girls' side of the Oxford Invitational. And then over at the Ashley Relays, of course, Milford winning the boys' side, shockingly knock off Saline, and Waterford Mott winning the girls' side. When you look at it take that back. Waterford Mott won the boys' side, and Milford won the girls' side. So when I look at it from that perspective, there, of course, Waterford Mott is a team that uses their distance a lot. Shocked they knocked off Saline the way they did, though. You know what I mean? And also Milford, same thing with knocking off Saline. But there were some good individual performances, you know what I mean? I know Clarkson was over there. I know Adams was over there. Rochester was there. It was not a bad day overall over there at the Ashley Relays. When you look at the competition, it was fierce. Very, very fierce. Very, very tough-minded over there. And then, of course, when you look at in the boys' side, of course, Mott using their distance, it was difference there. Milford winning the girls' side. It was an unfortunate situation involving over at Milford last week, in which what happened with Waterford Mott thinking they won the Milford Invitational, but the title ended up staying at Milford because of a technical call at the high jump area. Speaking of that, let's recap the Oxford Invitational a little bit before we talk about some of the matchups this week that got my eye. When I look at the Oxford Invitational tournament, you look at Oxford usually puts a lot into this tournament, and I think they do a very good job with it. I think when you look at how they did it, with teams like when you look at the Wildcats and their boys, I just think right now their distance is solid. They're not bad. And then you look at the throwers. Of course, they're led by Connor Bandel, who threw 62 weeks ago. He only threw 59 at his own invite. And then he threw a school record 188 feet in the discus. My God, it was. this guy's a stud. I mean, like, I've compared, Bandel. It's hard to compare him. You know what I mean, to a type of kid that he is. He's got the form down. Everything is perfect. I mean, he's got it all down, right now. And it's gonna be hard to beat him. You got to get him on a bad day if you want to beat Connor Bandel. He is that good. I mean, like, he's been that good in middle school. You know what I mean? Even though I do question some of the tactics he does. I mean, like, of course, Wall Lake Central, but with Wall Lake Central's coaches, but he's a solid player. I mean, like, he's a solid player, solid athlete. I mean, here's a kid that gave up basketball to focus on throwing. You know what I mean? And I know he's gotten offers from schools like Oregon and Oklahoma. So if you're in Oxford, of course, I encourage you to watch a heck of an athlete in Connor Bandel. He is a very, very good athlete. And then, of course, in the girls, they got Jennifer Brasington. Of course, she's a very good thrower herself. Oxford's got some good throwers. I know Coach George has done a magnificent job with the throwing program over there at Oxford. Deep program. Be an interesting matchup, especially coming up Wednesday when they travel to Lake Orion to be Oxford's first road meet, to handle it. So, like I said, I mean, like, it's going to be an interesting environment for Oxford. I just think when you look at Lake Orion, I thought Lake Orion split their squad. They did split their squad up during the weekend. Some went to Holly, some of them went to Oxford. Taking third in both boys and girls, it was an interesting feeling. Of course, Taylor Eaton's one of the top. If Taylor Eaton's not one of the top throwers in the state, you might want to get to know Miss Eaton especially a lot because she is very solid. Do 115 in the discus. She do 112 in the discus, and then she threw. I think it would not surprise me. Eaton and Brasington. It's gonna be a good meet Wednesday at Lake Orion. But she's one of the top throwers there. She's one of the top throwers I think in the county. And also maybe in the state. I think she's gonna be one of the. I think she's gonna be one of the top throwers, probably one of the best in Lake Orion. She could threaten Alex Hartley's shot put record really, very soon. But you look at Lake Orion, you know what I mean, in the boys, they got some solid contributions all around, but I just think, at the end of the day, I just think that this Dragon team's going to be I think they're going to be loaded for Oxford. I mean, like on Wednesday, and then they do play their their only non-leaguer at Rochester. I think they're just gonna kill Rochester pretty bad. I really do because when I look at Rochester's stats, they're just not good with Rochester. They're struggling. You know what I mean? Girls can be a little bit more of a tougher task. You know what I mean? So, but like I said before, I just think it's gonna be. And then of course you got that league meet May 8th at Oxford, which is gonna be really, really, really interesting. So, of course, I will be personally in attendance for that meet on May 8th. So, any questions, feel free to ask me. I'll be down in the shop pit. So, when I look at the tournaments coming up, of course, there's two big ones coming up around that affects OA teams. There's one at Saline, which is huge. It is as huge of a field as you can think of there. And then you got the tournament at and then you got the Invitational on Friday at Sterling Heights, which that has some impact. So when you look at the situation over there with some teams there, I think there's some teams going east. Of course, Sterling Heights went first. This is an interesting tournament. A lot of Macomb County teams go to this tournament. You got teams like Port Huron Northern, who's very, very good, of course. And then you got Anchor Bay, solid. And then you got Macomb Dakota. Macomb Dakota is a team I think that could really give teams problems. I think that with how their program is ran, and then you got Lake Orion, Troy, Rochester, all going to the Sterling Heights Invitational. Also, Troy Athens will be there as well. I think personally, it would not surprise me, at that Invitational, it comes down to Lake Orion and Macomb Dakota. I really do. I think it could happen. I think Lake Orion and Macomb, Dakota, I think are going to be the two top teams in that invitational. It could come down to both those teams because I think Lake Orion's got the distance to match with Macomb, Dakota, and they have the numbers to match up with Macomb, Dakota. So I expect it to be a very, very good invitational over there at Sterling Heights on Friday between Lake Orion and Macomb, Dakota. Those two teams are solid, very solid. And then the girls, when I look at the girls, I think it's a wide open field itself. Some of the top girls teams around the area, you got Macomb, Dakota is also solid there. But you got Rochester. They're normally good. They're usually good. I think a team to watch out for definitely is Lake Orion. But I think it's going to be a good invitational when you look at the teams there in Macomb County. I don't understand why it's a 3 o'clock start, but, it's just me. So we'll see what happens over there in Macomb County over there. And then the big one is at Saline. When you look at that one, a lot of powerhouse teams going to be there. A lot of good teams are going to be there. This is a team where I think Oak Park, could be one of the favorites there. The question's going to be, how's their depth's going to be? Saline. Saline's going to go hard in this tournament. In this invitational. There's going to be a lot of good teams going to be there. And Saline's always a powerhouse tournament, invitational. They got the field that's big enough. They have a big track. They have handled invitationals before. They've handled regionals over there before. I just think it's going to be it's going to be a fun experience for those type of teams that are going to be at Saline because, and I've personally been to Saline. Saline is a great town, very good town of Washtenaw County. And they've been in numerous. This is a solid program, and also this will be a good invitational. A lot of powerhouse teams going to be there. Heard rumored defending champion East Kentwood will be there. They'll bring teams around the state to get ready for. And also, I've been hearing some teams from Ohio could be at that tournament. So it could be a very, very. It's going to be a good field. I think it's going to be a good field to see where teams are at, especially in a loaded tournament like Saline, to see where some of these teams are at heading into the tournament, heading into regionals coming up in about a couple weeks. So when you look at the regional, it kind of had and I forgot to mention the actual recap on the girls' side. Bloomfield Hills, here's a team that came out of nowhere last year win the regional. They got a solid thrower in Amanda Sape, and the girls, they got Diana Hosley in the hurdles. This is a team that Dave Stratton's done a really nice job with over at Bloomfield Hills. Forgot to mention, Bloomfield Hills, it would not surprise me. They're gonna contend. I think they're gonna contend in this and not only in their league, but also going to contend in the regional. I think expect Bloomfield Hills to be very, very good heading into not only because they host the regional for starters, but also I just think that they're going to be all right. I think that Bloomfield Hills, they're a team to watch, especially when it gets now in a dual meet. I don't know if they played any of the bigger schools like Lake Orion or Clarkson. I don't think they match up well with them, but right now, the way they're in right now, I think they're in a good spot right now. Right? I think they are. Because they have the depth, but if they play a big school like Lake Orion or Clarkson, I think they're in a lot of trouble. I really do. That's what I think, heading into that. Heading into meets this week, of course, some of the big ones coming up in the red. We just had Oak Park and Southfield. They played on that Monday. I was impressed with Oak Park's strength. Of course, they do have an AU type of program they run over there. Knocked off Southfield and the girls. Awesome, the boys. I heard it was a really close meet between those two teams, but at the end of the day, I think Oak Park won that, I heard. So when you look at that one, you got to give the Knights a lot of credit, especially in the boys with low numbers. But like I said, they may not be the best dual team, but when they get into tournaments and when they get to invitationals and districts, invitationals and regionals, I think that they're going to be a very, very dangerous team because they got the athletes and the points are spread out between everybody, and they just got to get points. And I think that's what their staff over there, of course, their coach was a very good coach at Detroit, Mumford, who came over there to Oak Park. So, like I said, we'll see what happens heading in that program. I think one of the big meets coming up, you got Stony Creek, Rochester, you got Lake Orion, Oxford, Adams, Clarkston, Troy, Athens. I mean, that is the top red matchups. When I look at those four matchups, I think those are the top four matches of the week. I really do. Then you got Seaholm and Groves. They're playing each other, so that's going to be an interesting match as well. You got Avondale, Pontiac, and then a lot of geographical tight matchups this week. So when I look at the matchups there, I just think it's going to be a good competition. But I think the top matchups are the top teams in the red. I think I have the top matchups. When I look at each matchup, I just think right now that there are teams that are they're better than the other ones right now. When I look at a team like Harrison, they got to play Farmington, so it'll be an interesting matchup situation right there. But I think the big one is Lake Orion Oxford. I really do, because when you look at that matchup, Oxford can make a huge impact in the distance in the boys. I think they're going to give them. I think in the girls it's going to be a complete slaughter. I really do, be honest with you. I think Lake Orion's going to completely slaughter Oxford in the girls. I think probably Oxford's best strength of hope is going to probably be Jennifer Brasington. Of course, Brasington gets most of Oxford's points, especially in the shot and discus areas. But I just think, at the end of the day, I think but I think the Dragons, they have a couple throwers that can definitely match up with Oxford's throwers. Of course, you got Taylor Eaton, Mary Sack. Mary Smythe. I think those three can definitely match up with Oxford with Brasington. I think it could be a possible matchup right there. And then you got and then of course you got in the boys. I just think that it's going to be an absolute war. But I also think Lake Orion, at the end of the day, they got more depth than Oxford, and I didn't think Lake Orion ran their full strength of their team at the Oxford Invitational. Whereas Oxford probably ran their whole strength of their team at that invite. So I just think personally, I like Lake Orion in this duel over Oxford. I really do in the boys. I think it wouldn't surprise me if it's say 80-48 score or even closer than that. I was kind of surprised it was a 67-61 score between Oxford and Clarkston, and then Lake Orion just went and just tore Clarkston to shreds, even though Clarkston did not have Nolan Erickson, who got hurt, maybe be out for the year. But it's going to be very interesting when you look at the matchups that and then of course, I look at all the other matchups, Clarkson Adams, that's going to be an interesting matchup right there. I think end of the day, I think Clarkson's going to win that one because they're deeper than Adams in the boys. Girls, I like Clarkson in the girls because I think they're deeper than Adams there. And then Troy Athens, like Troy to knock them off both boys and girls. Rochester Stony Creek, I like Stony Creek. I like Stony Creek in the boys knock off Rochester. Rochester knock off Stony Creek in the girls. Seaholm Groves, I like Seaholm to knock them off in both boys, and I like Seaholm knock them off in the girls. In the boys, I like Groves knock off Seaholm in the boys. And vice versa. So we'll see what happens heading into the week. Wish everybody the best of luck heading into their games. We'll keep an eye on OAA Now for updates surrounding the league and our surrounding the league and everything. So I'm gonna sign off here. I'm gonna take care, everybody. Good night. God bless. I'm Sammy Termina. Take care, everybody.
OAA Now is produced at Orion Neighborhood Television, Lake Orion's community media outlet. To learn more about ONTV, visit our website at www.orionontv.org or call us at 248-393-1060.